and gentlemen, this contest set for one fall is for the WWE Championship.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it. Welcome to Around the Turnbuckle. I'm the Big Al. That guy right there is Professor Keith, as always. And joining us for the record, Keith, six times,
baby.
the SWO Uprising champion, the superstar, Merrick Miami. What's up?
What is up, guys? Six times.
Six times.
Crazy.
Either we like you or you like us. I'm not sure.
I think it goes both ways, mutual.
All right. Mutual respect. Let's call it that. All right. Speaking of respect, Big Dave always has a great thing to say about our guests. He says, it's Sunday night, and welcome to Miami. Around the Turnbuckle with the superstar. And in case you didn't know, he beat Matt Cardona.
I absolutely have.
He absolutely did.
Absolutely have.
Keith continues to say on commentary that he's contractually obligated to say that every time he calls your matches.
I am. His lawyers are that good.
Absolutely.
His lawyers are that good. I've checked every time. If there's any kind of loophole, if there's any kind of clause, if there's any kind of out, it doesn't exist. His lawyers are that good that they have made sure that every time. And why is it specifically me? That's the other thing I don't understand is that specifically my name is in the clause. I don't understand.
I think he just likes to turn that knife in a little bit harder to you, Professor. I don't know. He likes you more than most, I guess. All right, I got more comments here, man. Big Chris, thanks for always watching us, brother. Christopher says, sup, guys. My son in Florida, Zachary, is here. Zachary, yeah, how's it going? Six times, that's crazy. Six times is crazy, yes.
Yeah.
Boo, Professor Keith, says our old friend, classic Johnny Potter.
I will say one thing real quick to Christopher Vant is
go ahead.
Board, this season has been terrible for the Yankees. Firings need to happen. Unfortunately, I think they're going to fire Aaron Boone, or they should probably be firing Brian Cashman.
He's ready for football. I'm telling you right now. Chris Vant
has to be with this.
Chris Vant is like, fuck baseball. I'm ready for football. All right, man. So since the last time you were on Around the Turnbuckle, you've had some stuff happen. You know, you've been rising in the ranks at SWO as usual, but then you recently captured at the most recent SWO event in Red Lion. You captured the SWO Uprising Championship.
That's right.
I'd be remiss to say though, if not before that though, you had a matchup with the Wolfman.
Oh, here we go.
And that's one that you probably don't want to talk about, but I gotta mention, I gotta be fair. I gotta say, you know, that matchup didn't kind of go your way, no?
See, and this is the stigma right now that I just got to nip it in the bud right now. Everybody has been telling me, you know, that's great. You won the Uprising title, your second win of the Uprising title, but you lost to the Wolfman.
Tapped out.
Now, see, I didn't think.
You have to understand. When there is a will, there is a way. And I did what I had to do to make it very known that you don't ever count me out. So who's to say? I could have planned to lose to the Wolfman.
That's true.
This atmosphere where you weren't going to expect me to. Because I know right now none of them fans expecting me to walk out 20 minutes later
To
and win
me, Mr. Miami, who had the better night? That's all I got to
this.
say.
I did, of course.
Wolfman beating you or you walking out a champion. That's my
You
opinion.
walking out a champion, exactly.
My humble opinion.
When you say there's a will, there's a way, don't you mean where there's a wish, there is a way? Because
I mean, you could
that's
say
how
that
you won
too.
that championship. Is Benny Slater and Prince Piranha beat the ever-loving crap out of each other. Then you came out like Seth freaking Rollins and say, hey, I'm going to cash in my wish now. I want this to be a triple threat. And within about 2 moves, you would pick their exhausted bones and picked up the title.
Well, and that's the thing. Everybody minutes after that at intermission wanted to say, oh, Merrick, you cheated. You cheated.
You didn't cheat. Cheat is the
I
wrong
used the
word.
wish. I used the wish.
Yeah.
I cashed that wish in, and I walked out with the title. There wasn't any low blows. There wasn't any feet on the road. It was a simple 1, 2, 3, and I walked out with the title. How is that cheating?
It's not cheating technically. It's dishonorable. I think that's a word you could use if you were so inclined. But you're correct. As Zach Carlucci has pointed out, you are correct. It wasn't cheating. You were within the rules to do what you did. You had a wish. You used that wish. The argument could be made that how you used that wish was less than what some fans might call honorable conduct, but
I call it brilliant.
You were within your rights. You're correct about that.
I call it brilliant. All right. So there's some comments here. JT Cage,
somebody else in the comments,
is here, and if you need help with the Wolfman problem, holler at me.
JT.
He also says Keith gets on my nerves. He has no respect.
Yeah. Ditto, buddy. Ditto.
I got to defend Keith. He might have made a disrespectful comment there, but it is in his contract. He has to mention that I've beaten Matt Cardona every single time. It's a contract. We have a mutual contractor. As far as the Wolfman problem, there is no Wolfman problem because the Wolfman is the least of my worries.
Yeah.
You see, he might have been happy that he got his win, but he didn't walk out with this.
That's right.
But you don't think that win puts him in line for a shot at that?
See, I'm hearing through the grapevines that I have to defend this against the Wolfman next month. And I don't know how true this is, but if it is true, I am praying that he just gets cold feet, because it's going to be nothing but a pure embarrassment. He's going to walk out there in front of 7 Valleys, and he's just going to be an utter disgrace. Because I'm just going to walk out there, do what I do, be the superstar that I am, and just destroy him.
I got a question.
You know what pride goeth before.
I got a question for you from Chris Vant. And let me clarify this, Chris. 6-time. When I said 6-time in the beginning of this program, I meant he's our 6-time guest here on Around the Turnbuckle. But his question has merit, which is one championship win more special than others? Is this championship win any more special than other championships that you've won? Because you have won other championships.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely say yes. I was the first ever Uprising champion in, I believe, the end of 2016. I walked into Summer Series 1 defending my SWO Uprising title against Johnny Cockstrong, walked out still Uprising champion, and then to 7 years later at Summer Series 8 to walk out again with the Uprising championship. This is professional wrestling. To some people, that may not mean anything, but to me, that's a big deal.
Right.
Very big deal.
Like we've always said, people can look at a championship and they can say, oh, well, we know how wrestling works and you're not really winning anything. But it's like, but you are in a way, because that's the company coming to you and saying, we believe in you. We believe that you need to be in this featured position. You're making money for us and you're an important player. So, I mean, to me, it's kind of like saying to an actor or someone in an equivalent position that's a performer, saying like, oh, if you win an Oscar or something like that, well, that doesn't matter because somebody just gave that to you. It's like, no, that's recognition of how good you are at your craft and that you matter and that you are improving and representing your craft well.
Right, absolutely.
In my mind.
Yeah, and like even when I won this title for the first time, I was the first ever holder of this title. And I just remember for the months that I had it after that, like I was proud to be this champion, you know, the first ever champion, uprising champion of a company that had a few other titles, but like this was the brand new title. This was the next big thing. And to put in the work that I put in as Leo Sweet to build that up, and to now, you know, 8-9 years later, regain it as Merrick Miami has just been like, to me, that's awesome, because the work that I put in, I felt has been tarnished for the last few years. Like I brought prestige to this title when I held it the first time. And since then it's been tossed around and hot potatoed around to this guy, and that guy, and that guy. But now it's back where it belongs with the first ever holder. And I'm just going to take it, and I'm going to the moon. You know, this title, and I've said this when I was the WWA Extreme champion, this title is the world title to me. This is the SWO Unlimited title to me. And this will mean more than the Unlimited title by the time that I'm done with it. I can guarantee you that.
All right, so you were involved in a big event last night in Lancaster for 3 legacies. But before we talk about that, Mr. Cage is back with one more comment about the Wolfman. He said, Wolfman does not need a shot. He won't even give me a shot at my title that he took from me, and that's the 3WA Hardcore Championship.
Yeah, cleared to wrestle.
Collusion all over.
The man wasn't cleared to wrestle until this month.
Well,
days before he took on Miami in Chapel Church, he finally got his clearance. So how is the man going to give you a title shot if he's not cleared to wrestle?
That's a great question. All right, so last night in Lancaster, Merrick Miami was involved in was it the main event? Forgive me for asking that, because I wasn't there.
No,
but it was a big time 6-man tag, right? Involving
absolutely
Dirty Dongo, involving Shannon Moore. So you want to talk about that match, Merrick Miami?
Absolutely. So yeah, first of all, shout out to Ricardo Rodriguez, Jesus Rodriguez, owner of 3 Legacies Wrestling in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Obviously, Ricardo Rodriguez, former ring announcer for Alberto Del Rio.
Yep.
Hell of a talent, hell of a guy, hell of a promoter, hell of a showrunner, hell of a booker, hell of a everything. Hell of a human being. Absolutely blessed to be working beside him and all of the other talent at 3 Legacies. But yeah, so last night, you know, they had their big stadium show. We were at the Lancaster Barnstormer Stadium. My first time wrestling in a stadium. It was super awesome. I was out on the field before the show started, before fans came in, was taking some photos, just taking it in.
Yeah.
You know, might not mean something to some people, but little things like this mean a lot to me, because this is all a part of the story. You know, just as I'm standing there looking up at however many thousands of people were there last night, the biggest crowd I've ever been in front of, I think it was like 2,200 plus people. It's just a little stepping stone to the I'm wrestling on SmackDown at the Giants Center. You know what I mean? Just little stepping stones to get there. But yeah, and it was cool. Like you mentioned, it was a 6-man tag team match. It was myself, Ace Dallas, and a friend of ours, Bricks Porter. We went up against Al Snook, Dirty Dongo, and Shannon Moore, which, of course, another 2 former WWE superstars that I watched growing up.
Sure.
8-year-old me watching Shannon Moore go absolutely berserk on SmackDown, and then 13-year-old me watching Fandango beat Chris Jericho live at WrestleMania 29, and now all of a
Keith
sudden
and I were at that Mania.
Yeah.
that's all. Yeah, I was too. That was my first Mania. But from then to locking up with Fandango last night, Dirty Dongo, now it was a surreal moment for sure. And honestly, it made it even better being in the atmosphere that we were in. It made it feel like every match last night delivered. Every match last night felt like a big match. Feel like as much as I want to sit on here and talk about how great my match was, I have to literally tell you every match last night was great. Everyone did wonderful.
Nice.
Not a bad thing I can say about anything. Fans were great. Of course, merch sales were great. You got to have merch sales. Merch sales were great. Everything was great. Weather was great. Hospitality at the arena was great. Food was great. Everything was great.
That's
but yeah,
awesome.
definitely having that match was another one of those matches of like, okay, wrestled Matt Cardona, wrestled Nikolai Volkov years and years ago, Valor, wrestled Fandango now, wrestled Shannon Moore. Like, it's just building onto this story, and I'm getting to do these things now that otherwise, and I truly believe this, if I would have never introduced everyone to Merrick Miami, I don't think that any of these opportunities would have come about. Not to say that they wouldn't have per se, I guess, but I think I had a better shot being Merrick Miami, who is more me, who is more genuine, who is the superstar. Leo Sweet had his time, and it was time for Leo Sweet to go. It was time for Merrick Miami to become the first Merrick Miami, the only Merrick Miami, the only superstar. And I mean, you guys have been here for the ride. My first appearance on here was
3 years ago.
Merrick Miami yet. I think it literally
You
was
were just becoming him.
Yep.
You were just becoming him.
He in some ways debuted here.
And then since then, look where we're at now.
Yep.
3 years later.
It's just
I've
been
wrestled
strength
Matt
to
Cardona,
strength to strength.
all these names. I've done all these awesome, amazing things that I really, truly don't believe otherwise would have happened if I was still Leo Sweet. But
So
last night
listen,
was definitely one of those
moments.
All right.
Yeah. So listen, man, I was gonna say before you said that Keith and I have been along for this ride, and just we're privileged to have sit back and watch you evolve to what you are.
Yeah.
Because who you were 3 years ago is not this guy sitting right here. All right.
I remember watching Leo Sweet's last match. I was like the Q Mart for that one, and then I saw Merrick Miami's first match, and it's like, okay, there's a world of difference here. One guy was good, Leo Sweet, but clearly hadn't found himself yet. Merrick Miami comes out, and like you say, it's like you knew who you were in that moment, and you had that ability right from the jump to go like, you're going to pay attention to me. Whether you want to pay attention to me or not, I'm going to make you pay attention to me. And then once you had all eyes on you, you were comfortable, you were good, and you've just been moving strength to strength to strength to strength to strength ever since. Like, you really found yourself with the superstar Merrick Miami.
Well, I appreciate that, and I definitely feel the same. Like I said, this character is more me. I'm naturally full of myself. I naturally think I'm the hottest thing to walk the planet. And to times that by 100 when I walk through that curtain, like it's so easy for me. It's so natural. I don't want to say that it never has been difficult, because it has.
Yeah.
Obviously, with creating any persona that's truly not 100% you, but it's very, very humbling to see how far things have come since that crossover from Leo Sweet to Merrick Miami, and really finding my groove. And my promos, oh my God, I know for a fact, and I will be arrogant about it, my promos used to suck. And my promos lately, I think, have been fire.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Very good.
Chris Vance here said, well-deserved title. Watched every show you've been on here. You obviously put in the time, and good luck on defense of that title.
Well, Chris, I'm a superstar. I kind of do what I do. So I guess thank you for the luck. I really don't need it, but we'll just say I appreciate it.
All right, so we talked a little bit about the event last night, but talk about the match itself. I mean, talk about the ins and outs of that match, how it went for you guys. For those who weren't there, for those who weren't able to see it.
Sure, yeah. So last night, obviously, if you're just tuning in, it was myself and Ace Salas and Briggs Porter versus Dirty Dongo, Shannon Moore, and Al Snook at Three Legacies of Wrestling's Red Rose Rumble. Moral of the story, we lost.
Right.
Collusion at its finest, if I have to be honest. Collusion. Something about it, Three Legacies, there's so much collusion when it comes to the in-ring action at Three Legacies Wrestling. There's so much collusion. So I get tagged in for the first time in this match, and these fans want to see me go toe-to-toe with Al Snook. Nah,
right.
I don't think so. I'm the superstar. I want a superstar. Well, a superstar no more, as a matter of fact. So I said, you know what? No, I want him. I want Dongo. So Dongo comes in.
Yep.
Professional of all professionals. Rough me up a bit. I'm going to be honest. Rough me up a bit. Very tight. Very smooth worker. But nonetheless, again, very grateful to have that opportunity to work with another guy that I watched growing up on television. And collusion. I'm going to repeat it a million times. Collusion. He wants to pander to the crowd, shake his ass around, Dirty Dongo tactics. Listen, I don't have time for that. So you know what? I said, okay, all right, this is the game you want to play. So what do? I start shaking my ass around a little bit. And you know what I get? I get boos. I get trash thrown at me. I get people telling me I suck. Like, listen, man, like, Dirty Dongo wasn't on America's Got Talent 10 years ago. I was. You know what I mean? Like, so settle down. But, some back and forth happened. Tag in, tag out, did some heat here and there, good stuff. Overall, I had a very fun time in the match. Even though there was collusion, we lost. Wouldn't change it. Watched it back today. Still held up from what I felt it was last night. Roughed up a bit. Definitely sore this morning. So anybody
Danny Smith there said, but did you die? Roughed up a little?
I did die.
I've had that one used against me before too. But did you die? But I could have. That's the point.
When you see the footage, of these European uppercuts in the corner, you're gonna be like, oh, he's dead. He's dead. There's no way he's gonna survive. I'm telling you, the rough. I mean, I'm not saying that it was bad.
Yeah.
But if anybody is gonna work Dirty Dongo and you're listening to this, I'm telling you, hit back, because he's gonna hit you.
Yeah.
It's not gonna feel great. He's not shooting on you.
He's a tough dude.
But it's not going to feel great.
Good advice for, I believe we have Dirty Dongo coming in September for the SWO, no? think we do.
Yeah,
I think
Dirty
that was
Dongo will
announced
be in
last show.
SWO in a few weeks. Yes.
Seven Valleys.
So whoever draws Dirty Dongo, there you go. There's your advice. Hit back.
Yes, please do.
Yeah, it should be
I'm
something.
all here to see it.
So earlier you mentioned when you had the 3WA Extreme Championship, Keith and I were there ringside when you wrestled Matt Cardona. And you beat him. And Matt Cardona is coming to Seven Valleys in October.
Yes.
But there's a lot of speculation on who's going to take him on.
Mm-hmm.
But we all know you. We all know you want him again.
Of course.
What do you think?
I mean, like you just said, there's no secret. The history, the story, the obsession with this. I'm just trying to get through my head why this decision hasn't been made already. We're literally, 2 months, a month and a half away from this event, and there's still no definitive answer from Zach Carlucci if I'm getting this match.
Right.
Like I've been asking him for months now, hey, Matt Cardona, I heard Matt Cardona's coming. I want Matt Cardona. You should give me Matt Cardona. And I still have no answer. And hopefully now that I have this, that gives Zach Carlucci a little bit of, okay, this gives us a little bit of interest for the company, for people to come out. I mean, I even told Zach Carlucci, I said, you want me to defend the title against Matt Cardona? I'll do it. I did it once before, and I beat him, and I'll do it again for a different company. I mean, I literally been told my whole life, you can't do this. You're too young. You're not smart enough. You don't know what you're doing. Well, guess what? I'm not too young. I did everything you told me I couldn't do. I am smart enough. I know what I'm doing. And I'm simply going to build on to the story that I think needs to be a bigger story than it already is.
Yeah.
Because Matt Cardona himself has said that he has yet to wrestle a true broski of the week. And that was on the Not Sam podcast. But then I did reply to that, and I said, actually, as a matter of fact, you have, and you lost.
Correct.
My goal.
That's true.
We need to build this story. We need to add to this story. Not for you, not for Professor, not for whoever's watching this. We need to build on this story for me, for Matt, for professional wrestling, because at the end of the day, stories like this don't happen. They just don't. When have you heard of an independent star growing up and wrestling their hero in Ric Flair?
Right.
Or growing up and wrestling their hero in The Rock? Or Macho Man Randy Savage? Or Hulk Hogan? Or you just don't. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't work that way. But me being me and proving everyone wrong, I made that happen.
Yep.
So why can't I make it happen again? And this is what I don't see. This is what I don't see why Zach Carlucci hasn't just said, you know what? You got it. I mean, he was there. He counted the 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
He knows the history just as well as I do, just as well as everybody that was in attendance that night. Why would you not want that for SWO?
But the difference is, as the owner of SWO now, and as the Wolfman's pointed out, there is a whole locker room full of hungry, talented guys that would love to have that opportunity
and step
that
up.
You had. Well, that's I think what Zach Carlucci is weighing. And I mean, the Wolfman did the same thing. He said, hey, I want to wrestle Matt Cardona. And that's the whole reason he was in the ring with you last month, and made you tap out because he wanted to
Oh, here we
prove
go.
to Zach
He made me tap
Carlucci
out.
that you did tap out. That did happen. That's facts. He wanted to prove to Zach Carlucci that he should be in the conversation for a shot at Matt Cardona. And I'm sure Prince Piranha wants that
Yeah,
shot.
but
I'm sure Benny Slater
why?
does.
But why is my question? Why? You're an ECW original. Probably one of the best things that you could ever have going for you. Before it was even Extreme. That's a big deal.
Wrestle Terry
And
Funk.
my thing is, you had your time. It's not your time anymore. You know, like the entrance music says, your time is up, my time is now. And my time is now. My time was up in 2021. And guess what? Since 2021, it's been up and up and up and up. And we're only going one way. And that's to the top. Listen, I got dreams. And I can't help if anyone else in the locker room doesn't have a dream. That's not my problem. I have a dream, and I will do whatever I need to do to get to that dream. And that would mean if the three legacies, Ace, Dallas, and I, we're teaming up. We've been teaming up there for months. And that means that there's a better opportunity for a singles run and three legacies wrestling. Guess what? I'm going to do it because I'm doing it for me. I'm not doing it for somebody else. So when you say that there's other people that are hungry in the locker room, I think it's all bullshit. To be honest with you, if that's what you wanted, if this is what you want, step up. Step up. I've been saying you guys know I've been saying this for years now. At Triple WA, I held the high impact title for 927 days. Everybody complained about it. Step up. I held the Extreme title for how many months? Step up. Step up. You want this spot? Step up. Simple.
Chris Vant is back, and he's like, "Is there that match where you thought was your toughest before getting that title shot and winning?" I would guess Matt Cardona, but I could be wrong. You have another one?
No problem. No, it's got to be Matt.
Yeah,
Got to be Matt.
I mean,
I feel like the answer to any sort of question, like obviously you've gotten the dream match, favorite match, hardest match, all this stuff. The answer is Matt Cardona to all of it.
Right.
All of it.
But you had that dream match, and you might have it again very well. Are there other dreams down the road? Because, guys that you would just love to take on other than Matt Cardona? Because I know you and Matt Cardona are inevitably tied together because you were a Broski of the Week. You did beat him in 3WA, and now you want him again in October, and I'd like to see it. I know a lot of people would like to see it, but what I'm saying is that say you get that match. Say you beat him again.
I will.
All right? Hypothetically. What then?
Well, what then is, I'm sure, obviously, as losing to the superstar 2 times in a row, he's going to want a rematch. And then I'm just going to beat him again. And then after that, I'll be known as the guy who not only beat Matt Cardona twice, you beat him 3 times. And then after that, as I've been saying for years now, Impact Wrestling, man. Impact Wrestling. That's it. That's what I want. I want Impact Wrestling. That's not ready for WWE. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
Have no interest in going to AEW. Know that.
Mm-hmm.
Impact Wrestling. That's what I know. That's what I want. That's the vision. Impact Wrestling. So I could beat Matt Cardona in October if Zach Carlucci gives me this damn match. I could beat Zack Ryder. I'll beat Zack Ryder too. Matt Cardona, I'll beat him tomorrow. I'll beat him Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and all over again. It doesn't matter to me. I had the dream match.
Yeah.
Is this the dream match again? No, it's not the dream match again. I had the dream match. This, and this is my first time explaining this to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
This is redemption. And you might be asking yourself, well, you beat him. Why is it redemption? Listen, you got to think here. When I stepped in the ring with Matt Cardona, I was still fresh in the Merrick Miami gimmick, still figuring out who I was.
And no one in the building believed you could do it, or you were ready.
Exactly. I knew that I was ready. But the thing is, I walked into that match and I felt different than I do now. I felt anxious. I felt nervous. I had the holy shit, I'm about to wrestle my hero feelings. But this time, it's different. I've been on major pods, FWF Live 4 and 5. I've been around Matt how many times now since then. Now, I'm not saying that I didn't give it my all when I wrestled him the first time, but this time, if Zach Carlucci gives me what I want, you guys are going to see a level of Merrick Miami that you've never seen. Because I need this. I need this for me. I had my dream match. I can never replace that match. I can never redo that match. I can never touch that match. That match will be on a shelf by itself until the end of time. But what I can do now with the second match with Matt Cardona is build onto that story, like I said earlier. Make this bigger than it ever was, but still be able to look back and say, I had my dream match. I won my dream match. But moving forward, if I get to wrestle Matt Cardona again, it doesn't matter win or lose. I'm building on to the foundation of something that I never thought was even possible. Because you got to think, as a 13-year-old kid, you're watching your hero on TV. Obviously, I wanted to wrestle one day. I watched Undertaker. Look how long he was with the company. Edge, Randy Orton, Cena. They've been with the company since I was 4 years old.
Yeah.
You don't really think ahead and be like, well, one day they're not going to be there anymore and I'm going to get to wrestle my hero. It just doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I made it happen. Triple WA made it happen. I've said it once and I'll say it again and I'll say it till the end of time. I'm truly, truly in debt to Paul and Dino for allowing that match to happen.
Yep.
But now I can build on this story. And this is my problem with Zach Carlucci. Why he just hasn't made it happen yet. I've deserved it. I've deserved it for months now. This was the icing on the cake. I mean, why would you not want, for the big 300 show of SWO, why would you not want a marquee match? Superstar versus superstar. Like, it's just common sense to me.
And I think I look at it as Zach Carlucci is trying to do what he believes is fair, what he believes is in the best interest of the SWO, and trying to do what's in the best interest of the public. And I think, and I'm not saying Zach Carlucci won't ultimately turn around and see it your way. I know he's heard your phone calls, your lobbying at the shows, everything else. I know he's considering your case, and he's considering it very strongly. But there's a lot of other people in that locker room that have made the equally strong case of why should it automatically be Miami? Why shouldn't there be a way for me to prove that maybe I deserve it a little more than Miami? And I think that's what Zach's trying to weigh, and Zach's trying to make sure that whoever winds up in that spot in that match with Matt Cardona is truly the most deserving person to be in that match.
Well, part of that weight probably is going to come on September the 16th. No, Keith?
I'm sure by September the 16th, we're gonna need an answer, right? Because by
September.
that point, we're only gonna have
so.
a month left to put this thing together and promote it.
Well, September 16th, if Zach Carlucci hasn't made a decision by then, he can take that event into account. And most likely, as the superstar Merrick Miami mentioned earlier, he's most likely going to be defending his championship in Seven Valleys on September the 16th. Now, whether it's against Wolfman, whether it's against Piranha, or whoever it's against, irregardless, he's going to be defending the championship. So obviously the result of whatever happens on September 16th is going to weigh heavy on Zach Carlucci's decision about what happens to Matt Cardona in October.
As it should.
You agree with that or disagree with that, Miami?
I mean, yeah, like you said, one way or the other, this title is getting defended. I've been told.
Right.
I have to defend this title. And one way or the other, in October, you know, the critics will say, if you still have the title. But I know I will still have the title because it doesn't matter what happens in September. Because obviously everyone knows what the goal is. And I'll do whatever I have to do to get Zach Carlucci to understand, hey, all these other guys in the back, they're not worth this. I am worth this. This match is more than all the matches that could be. Now listen, would I love to see Matt Vertigo wrestle Matt Cardona? Of course. Would I love to see Sage Matthews wrestle Matt Cardona? Of course. Would I love to see, hell, would I even love to see Ken Andrews take on Matt Cardona? Sure. But guess what? It's not their time. It's mine. And there's so much, and I feel like I'm repeating myself, but there's so much history between Matt Cardona and myself that this would be such a stupid decision not to do this, because think about all the money. Think about the money, the promotion, all of it, the tension. There's shows running this very same day as us. And think about all the fans. Now we want to go see Merrick Miami and Matt Cardona because they know the history. Why would you not want that? But either way, like you said, this title is getting defended next month, the 16th. And it could be the Wolfman. It could be Kimberly Spirit. It could be Zach Belmont. It could be Alan Clayball, Sage Matthews, Ken Andrews, Trent Farrell, Simon Rhyme. It could be the whole damn roster. We're going to Raw in 2006. Randy Orton's defending the title against the whole Raw roster.
Right.
It could be that all over again. And it doesn't matter because I'm going to walk into October 21st with this championship. And if I have anything to do with it, it will be against Matt Cardona. And even if it's not, I'm walking out of that event still uprising champion to prove that the best thing that could have been was Merrick Miami versus Matt Cardona.
Well, on September the 16th, defending that Uprising Championship, if it's against the Wolfman, that's going to be interesting as far as me and Keith are concerned. And the reason is because the Wolfman is our guest next Sunday on Around the
Yes,
Turnbuckle.
I see this little ticker down here.
So if that match is announced before next Sunday, well, then he'll have an awful lot of talk about concerning September 16th.
I'm sure.
Yes, because I know I've talked to the Wolfman, and he certainly believes that victory over you puts him in line, front of the line, for a shot at that SWO Uprising title. Of course, Zach Carlucci ultimately makes the decision, but I think Wolfman's got a pretty valid case.
I mean, listen, you can think that. I don't. Just look at all the losses. I literally have I record all my matches in my phone. I have all of my losses. Not a single one of those people that I took the L to right now come close to deserving a title shot. And I can tell you right now, the Wolfman sure as hell doesn't either.
All right, well, if he doesn't, who does?
You tell me.
Only
the hottest, the most talked about independent superstar, the indie god, always ready, the internet champion, the deathmatch king, the deathmatch busters. If you didn't see that, absolutely crazy last night, Matt Cardona. You know, this isn't a hey, anybody in the locker room, do you want a title shot? No, this is, hey, Matt, you wanted a rematch. I have a title. You're the belt collector. You call yourself that. I have a belt now. Why don't we go for round 2?
Earlier, I mentioned hypothetically if you would beat him a second time. Can I ask you hypothetically, what if he beats you and wins your championship? What happens then?
That championship. Well, first of all, I can tell you that won't happen.
Mm-hmm.
But let's have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have some fun. In your imaginary world, hypothetically, if Matt Cardona, this match happens, and Matt Cardona beats me for the SWO Uprising Championship, that would be something.
Mm-hmm.
That would be something. And I almost want to say that will be bigger than me defending successfully. Because this title has never been around the waist of someone like Matt Cardona.
Right.
That would bring a lot of attention, more attention to SWO than this match probably ever could.
Very true. I mean, huge opportunity for the company.
But as much as that may sound fantastic, it's hypothetical.
Right.
And if I'm being honest, I won't allow it. And I'll do whatever I have to do. You've seen it firsthand.
Oh, we have.
I'll do whatever I have to do.
What are you insinuating, Professor?
I'm just saying, go back, fans. If you haven't ever watched the match before, it's out there. It's on YouTube. Go back and see how Mr. Miami secured that victory. And you tell me that he won't do whatever he has to do within the rules or not to walk out of there the winner.
I mean, you're not wrong, Professor.
Professor, was he disqualified?
No, he was not. The referee
Did he pin Matt Cardona 1, 2, 3?
He did.
I did.
Then he beat Matt Cardona. Good luck to you. A lot of WWE superstars started where you are. Keep grinding, and hope to see you on WWE someday. Keep your attitude.
I very much appreciate that, and a lot of WWE stars have been where I've been before, so it's very very understanding to most of them that have been to the highest mountaintop, which is good now, considering probably 15 years ago would be totally different. But
it would be. You're right, my son. It would be cool seeing him on WWE.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and first things first. I know you said Impact is the current vision right now, but I mean, I know that down the road, when you're ready, that you wouldn't mind a WWE contract.
No,
gosh, no. I mean, listen, if I was presented tomorrow with a contract to Impact Wrestling or WWE,
right?
Obviously, I'm taking WWE.
Right.
Yeah.
That reality is, I don't want to say far-fetched, because I like to say positive.
Yeah.
However, I would like to say out of my reach at this point.
Right.
And I think what is in my reach right now and in the near future is Impact Wrestling.
Yeah. I've always thought that was a realistic goal.
I know a lot of people that work for Impact Wrestling.
Yep.
And I just have this feeling, have had this feeling for a while, that what is meant to be will be. And the stars have been slowly lining up, building me up, and getting me closer to that reaching of Impact Wrestling. So I'm very excited to see, as I stated 3 years ago for the first time on here, I'm very excited to see where Merrick Miami took me. Well, this is where it's brought me.
Mm-hmm.
So now I can't wait to see how much farther that this is going to take me. You know, Leo Sweet was a 6-year journey.
Yeah.
And Merrick Miami is a little shy of 3. You know, so there's still plenty of time. Plenty of time.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
All right, man. Well, before we get out of here, is there anything else that we didn't bring up this last almost hour now that you'd like to talk about before we end things?
Well, you can follow me all over social media at Merrick Miami. My Pro Wrestling Tees store is prowrestlingtees.com/diamond merch. On top of that, if you go on my Facebook page, facebook.com/Merrick Miami, I am dropping very soon, and you gentlemen will love this and have probably already saw it and we're like, we need this, and I know you do because everybody does. The Broski Slayer 2.0 t-shirt.
I have seen that.
To commemorate me defeating Always Ready Matt Cardona September 25th of 2021. A banger t-shirt. Everyone keeps asking me, where does the QR code go? Where does the QR code go? Well, I guess you're just going to have to buy it and find out. But what I can say about it is it will not disappoint.
Love it. All right. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. I will see everybody next month, September 16th, defending my Uprising title, possibly against the Wolfman, possibly against whoever else in the locker room. Zach Carlucci seems fit. Doesn't matter, because when I come back on Around the Turnbuckle, for the record, 7th time, I'm still going to be the SWO Uprising champion. And that's not an insult. That's a fact of life. Yeah.
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 That's sort of yeah there. My daughters are gonna love that. All right. All right, man. Well, as always, it's always a pleasure talking to you, bro. It always is a pleasure talking to you. And Keith and I have been along for the ride, like you've said.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't wait to see what happens to you next, what happens next on this ride, on this journey, and be right there with you in this journey. Now, Keith now does commentary for SWO, so he gets to call your matches, which is cool.
Yeah, love it. Love it.
I always love ring announcing you to the ring when I get that chance. I always appreciate doing that too. So we can't wait to see what happens to Merrick Miami next. If you want to see Merrick Miami in action, get your asses to Seven Valleys on September the 16th. He will be in action defending the SWO Uprising Championship against, we don't know yet, but SWO. Check SWO's Facebook page for information on that event coming up
very soon.
Yes.
Whew.
Yeah, there it is.
That's getting heavy.
It's getting heavy. All right, man. But again, you're always welcome here. We thank you very much for being on here for a record 6th time. You are our most watched guest, bar none. You had those six appearances together, man, and it doesn't even come close.
Numbers speak.
Numbers don't lie. All right, man. But Professor, you got any parting gifts before we say goodbye to the superstar?
Well, once again, I mean, despite our somewhat philosophical differences here and there, I always appreciate that you're here. I always appreciate being able to talk to you at the shows and see how you're doing, see how the family's doing and all that good stuff. And I've said it to you, I think, from the first time you were here, every time since. I think you have the right mindset. I think you're improving every time out there, and I think it's just a matter of time before, Impact sees what you're doing, WWE sees what you're doing, and those offers start rolling in, because I think you've got it. I think you've got the dedication, you've got the drive for it, and now it's just they need to figure it out, and they need to see the gem.
Hey, no one's story was ever a smooth road.
Mm-hmm.
So,
all right. Well, I love it. All right. Don't go anywhere when we go off the air. Professor, as we talked about earlier, next week on the hot seat,
yes,
the Wolfman for the second time. The first time we had him was a couple of years ago, and we just started to scratch the surface about his career. We didn't even get to talk about his long, industrious career for over 40 years in the business. So he's got lots to talk about. And if the match is announced, he might be talking about this gentleman as well. So we don't know. So tune in next week right here on Around the Turnbuckle. We will have the Wolfman in the hot seat.
Big newsy show.
We will find out. For the Professor and the SWO Uprising Champion Superstar, Merrick Miami.
Superstar.
I'm Big Al. This was Around the Turnbuckle. We'll see you guys next time.
You think you know me?
Oh, yeah! If you smile!
Calculations are correct.